Hey there, grade 5. This is Mr. B, and we're just going to start our human body review part 2. So I've sent all the filled in copies of the review sheet. I'm sorry that yesterday I thought it was kind of would be sensible enough to just send the blank pieces and you guys could fill them in. But hopefully you can try to fill them in without looking at the sheet and just use the sheet if you get stuck. Because if you read the lesson plan, most of the material should be there for you to fill in. Most of things, there's a few things that are a bit different and changed a bit, but you do have generally all the answers. Anyways, we're going to go through this today. It'll be a little bit of fun, and we're just going to be learning about the human body a little bit more, reviewing it. And here, so we're starting with the brain and the nervous system overview. So this is kind of the command center of the body. I shouldn't say brain, whatever. It's the command center of the body. The nervous system collects information and sends messages in our body. Your nervous system has 3 major jobs, and they are to control all the automatic and voluntary actions. So that's like from your heart beating and your eyelids fluttering and your lungs breathing in air. And obviously you can control some of these things sometimes, and some of you can't control. There's lots of things going on in your body. We learned about the kidney the other day. There's tons of things happening that are totally out of your control all the time, and your brain is kind of controlling them all. So your brain uses a lot of its capacity to just do the regular old running of the system, and then we also have to do all the things that we want to do, right? So from going outside and playing soccer to baking a cake or whatever else we get up to, your body will, or your brain will send the messages to your muscles or to your limbs, and you'll be able to control it and move like with ease normally. So it's great that our brain does it, and we don't have to think about every little detail. We just think about moving our arm to pick something up, and we do it. And also controls our thinking and our thoughts and what we remember. So our memory of what happened before, and also our reflexes, right? So sometimes we don't necessarily have to think all that much to react to something. So I fenced for a little bit, or maybe I also played rugby and other things, but fencing I think is a good one for the reflexes. That when someone slashes you with a sword, you don't necessarily have to think about it too much if you've worked in the reflexes, and you just automatically go to block it. So your brain kind of controls that. Your brain generally wants to protect itself. So you have these reflexes to jump out of the way without having to think out of things. So that's that, and you can think of your brain a little bit like a command center of a spaceship. Now, I think your brain is even has more control than a command ship center of a spaceship, but I think it's a good way of thinking about it. This is where all the messages are sent out, the orders are given, it's telling everyone how to run. They're making sure the engine room is still running, and if there's any problems, the brain is kind of dealing with it and sorting it out. So I think if it kind of like mission control, or I thought this was particularly kind of a good one, from Star Wars Episode 1. If any of you watched it with Jar Jar Binks and everyone, the robots are all controlled from these Lucrehulk carriers. And when they take out the carrier, all the robots stop. But basically all the robots are controlled from this one spot. And so that's kind of a cool way to think about the brain a little bit, that it's sending out the mission, or the ideas, and the mission for all the different robots, and kind of just like your brain sends out the commands to make your arm move and your legs move, and you do all your thinking kind of in your brain. And then finally we have this little war room that's also sort of where all the orders would be issued out of in a war-like situation. So what are the parts of this system? Well, you first have your brain. That's a very important part. That's where the thinking happens, and most of the messages are kind of created and sent out. And it's also, we have to remember, our feelings and everything else happens in there. And so that's where we process the world, really. So there's a lot happening in there, apart from just moving around, right? Our thoughts are quite complex, and we have lots of things going on in there. Your brain is sending out messages to do whatever you want to do, or whatever you need to have done. And so, and it sends those messages down the spinal cord, and the spinal cord, depending on where your message is going will branch out into different spots, right? Then it'll go into different nerves. And then, finally, the nerves send those messages that have gone to the spinal cord to the rest of the body. Basically that's what happens. And there's all these electric pulses, and there's the ganglions, which we did talk about, but it's not going to be on the test. They're basically like little nodes. And finally, we have muscles and bones, and this is just the general overview again. So these two systems are what allow your body to move, and they also protect your internal organs. So first, just look at the skeleton. So the bones are actually living organs. So that's something sometimes we don't think about, that we see bones, especially I think because when we often see bones, they're like sort of they're dead. So like a chicken bone or something. When your bones are in you, they're actually a living organism, and there's stuff that's happening inside of the bones, like the marrow. So it's quite important, right? They have a really important function in themselves, and they're healing, and they can do a lot of things. First off, they're pretty much hard, and they kind of give your body structure. That's the main purpose of them. And then, there's two types of bones. There's the dense, hard bones that are kind of in our legs and our arms and stuff. And then there's softer ones, which are spongier, and which kind of like in our rib cage. The way we're created is just to have these different bones that are specialized for different areas and do special things. And then we have our joints where the bones connect and they roll around. Now our bones, if we just had bones, they wouldn't be able to move much. So we have muscles as well that pull and move around our bones. And so muscles always pull at a joint, and we learned that was with like ligaments, and there's also tendons. And to cause this movement, our muscles contract. So if you flex your arm right now, you'll feel your muscle in your arm getting stronger and stiffer, and that's just your muscle contracting. It always contracts. They pull on your bones. And even when I was reading that, I actually had to test that to see. I was like, oh, that's funny. It's because sometimes you think you're pushing, but in a way, your muscles are actually pulling out, and it's your one muscle is extending your arm by pulling together. And so it's quite a interesting thing. So then finally, our major muscles in our arms are our bicep in the front, the big one, and the triceps in the back. And these work together to move our arms around in all sorts of ways, right? Mostly in and out with those muscles, and then you have tons and tons of other muscles around your body going. And even this cute little bird has some muscles with his blue feet. Anyways, guys, so that's the little presentation for today. I hope you enjoyed everything, and I hope you can understand the review thing. We have our test coming up, but it should be fairly straightforward. It's not as difficult as the test has been in the past. I've made it easier, so I hope that we can all just get through it and enjoy it. So I'll probably send that out tomorrow. But anyways, guys, hope you had fun and had a great day. Bye-bye for now.